Welcome back. To the next point on our agenda, we try a new format, which is a podium discussion led by our VP Alliances, Markus Prinzer. Markus had an interesting career. He's from Berlin, so a local, and you will hear him later on the boat or being the tour guide on the boat. Between 1987 and 1996, he was a DJ in Berlin, so 9 years of dancing, DJ, and so on. Now he is with Jedox. He's responsible for our global alliances, and he will do the podium discussions with a few partners of us. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed the extended coffee break a bit. So in this session, I will present you 3 of our partners who have completely different partner approaches, and we will talk about what they achieved through the partnership with Jedox. And so the second part of this panel discussion is open for you guys. So if you have questions or if you want to ask the partners on stage anything in particular, collect your questions and ask them the questions after we are done. So as you can see on this slide, we wanted to talk actually to 4 partners. Unfortunately, Christian Wilmes from KPMG cannot make it. He sends his regards. He is stuck at Frankfurt Airport. He was on the taxiway for 1.5 hours, and they pulled the train back to the terminal. So he was booked on a flight which will leave Frankfurt at 4 p.m. So we didn't want to wait for him that long. So we are down to 3 now. So yeah, let's get things started.
Celsius was founded in 2010 by Bastian Beltmann and Steven Kullemeyer with a clear vision in mind. Leverage the power of internal resources to co-create sustainable performance management solutions. From day one, Jedox has played a prominent role in Celsius growth. The current team consists of 7 fully certified Jedox consultants with years of experience in business and IT. They all share the same passion for building solutions and have yet to find a better tool than Jedox to support them in their quest.
Yeah, so they are training partner since They are training partners since 2012. They trained a total of 233 participants from 3 countries in 7 locations during 40 training days. This is awesome. Please welcome on stage Bastian Beltmann. An awesome number of trainings you delivered.
Oh, I didn't know. Really.
So yeah, so we double-checked the system, so that's the real numbers. So we'll talk about training a little bit later, but there's another thing that is really exciting about your company. So you're lecturing informatics students at the University of Utrecht. And so does it pay off for you as a company?
Right. So what happens is this lecturing of the students, it's like, we call it a crash course, actually. It's a 3-day course. But what we do, we come in the university. There's like, I think 50, 60 students like this group, like that. And those students, they are getting a crash course. So we tell them what is BI, what is performance management. And then they have a 2-hour really quick training on Jedox. So we thank Jedox for supplying the licenses to the university. And after this 2-hour crash course, they go out. So they have 1 week of getting their stuff together, and then they come back after this 1 week. So what happens then? We are guiding them and helping them a little bit, and then they come back. And after 1 week, they present their solutions. It's incredible what you can see. They make the amazing dashboards just with Jedox, just with, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours training and some manuals. That is incredible, and it really shows that Jedox is really low threshold, and they're bright guys, right? So, but it's really incredible. They have like all those dashboards, and we can rate them. So we give them really a rate, and then it's good for them. And they're even using it now during the whole curriculum, using Jedox. Okay. So how does it pay off? It's like, actually Jedox is getting more and more famous in Holland, because all the students go work there or there or there. Second, it's sourcing. Like the very first start of our company, this was our strategy actually. Like we do it for 4 or 5 years. And we have now, I think, 4 students from the university getting into our organization. And, and the third thing is, well, we get more and more questions about, let's say, predictive analysis. A university is a perfect source for that. So they can share knowledge with us and help us out in there. So it works quite good.
Oh, really an amazing story.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
With over 25 years of experience working in business intelligence solutions and also in advisory services, René Lebel joined Decimal as Vice President of Professional Services in 2014. René Lebel manages Decimal's professional services team and is responsible for BI and planning solutions within the Decimal suite. Decimal is a well-recognized leader in corporate performance management, most active in Eastern Canada. It was founded and is still headed by a fellow CPA, Christian Bambini, who always had in mind to focus on the autonomy of the finance function to better deliver value to the rest of the organization.
So Decimal established a strong OEM relationship with us in 2004, and they implemented the BI part of the Jedox solution into their own solution. And to learn more about this, he took the long flight, 3,700 miles, almost 6,000 kilometers. Please let's have a warm welcome for René Lebel.
Wasim Al-Zawabi is the...
Good morning. Morning, everyone.
So you're a very well-established EPM software vendor. So how come that you OEM Jedox?
Well, my first assignment in 2014 when I joined the organization was to rip and replace the BI software that we have embedded for many years, which was Oracle Discover. And we did an evaluation of about close to 20 vendors. In the same way that all our customers are evaluating BI, we were looking at functional requirements and autonomy of the finance users. We were looking at reporting capability, very strong from that perspective, and we were looking at ease of use. So we made a short list of about 4 vendors. The first one was Tableau. The second one was Oracle, of course, with OBIE. We had a look also at Logi Analytics, which is more of a application development tools to build BI application to be used by our own R&D people. And finally, Jedox. And it's funny because when we initiated the sales cycle with Jedox, we were a little bit more convinced than Jedox that Jedox could do the job, because initially Jedox was not positioning itself as a pure BI vendor, more of an APM CPM vendor. So we did an extensive POC with all of those vendors. In fact, we wanted to be fully autonomous in the POC. So we asked the vendor, provide us with your software, put us in contact with someone, but we will be calling only if needed. And after 2 days with Jedox, we were able to complete the POC exercise that we had scheduled for a week initially. With all the other vendors, unfortunately, they were not able to reach. Tableau was unable to reach our requirements for extensive reporting purposes. OBIE, nothing to say about it. It's very traditional, lots of IT involvement, so that was not a real option for us. And Logi Analytics would require so much development, in-house development, that we said, no way. So moving further, even Oracle asked us or offered us to land the software at no additional cost compared to what we were already paying them for the database and the WebLogic application server. So we said, even with that, we're not in business. And voila, after 2 years of usage, we've embedded very deeply the Jedox software in our own software. And we count today over close to 1,200 users of our combined solution out there in the field.
Thank you very much. Very exciting. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Wasim Al-Zawabi is the co-founder of DasTech Solutions and has been serving as VP at Al-Shaba Group. Wasim Al-Zawabi holds a master's in computer engineering from Stuttgart University, Germany, and has great expertise in providing automation solutions that align IT and business processes. DazTech IT Solutions is one of the platinum partners and distributors of Jedox and was established in Dubai Internet City in 2013. With a strong connection within the region, DazTech and Jedox form a strategic alliance to approach the local UAE market and the regional market of MENA.
Yeah, so he conducted a remote Jedox training in Lagos, Nigeria, and he is also four-time Jedox Award winner. He came all the way from Dubai Internet City. Please welcome on stage Wasim Al-Swabi. So Wasim, I mean, Lagos is not actually just around the corner from Dubai Internet City, so how come that you did the remote training with the customer there?
Well, first of all, good morning.
Morning.
You're right, Lagos is quite far. What happened is that the client bought the licenses and they wanted to have the training immediately, like within the first week after they bought the licenses. It just happened that everyone was booked, and we became a certified academy and a certified training center. Combine that with the fact that we're very skilled in Azure, we managed to create a remote training for them. And so the main point was to deliver it as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, even though they didn't even have to travel, we didn't have to travel. So that was basically the point of it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very
this
much.
morning. So Renee, you told us that you're OEMing Jedox. So tell us, who are your customers and how they are using your solution?
Well, today we have an install base of about 55 customers, mostly kind of focusing on the Quebec, so Eastern Canada province. And we have about 60% of our customer being public organizations, so ministry, municipalities, provincial and federal governments. The rest of it is private corporation, mostly in the manufacturing process-based organization, and we also do a lot of financial services, so banking, insurance, and so on and so forth. Our software has started to be developed about 25 years ago, when our founder initiated some discussion with manufacturing company, mostly in the aluminum industry. And he has built a very sophisticated costing model for process-based manufacturing. He expanded over that experience over the years and rewrote his software with a team of development folks 2 or 3 times. So today our software is fully Java-based, WebLogic application server. We're using Oracle database as the relational backend. And what we are providing is really costing, sophisticated costing, and to do the closed loop, we have our own grown budget software that we've complemented throughout the years with the Jedox capability to offer initially everything related to reporting and publishing.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I see we just briefly talked about training. So you became a training partner in June.
Yeah.
So what are the benefits for you in addition to your regular, let's call it regular business with Jedox, to become a training center?
Well, the decision to become a training center was actually a strategic decision, alongside with supporting Jedox in the region. You see, the MENA region has more than 30 countries. So knowledge delivery or the transfer of knowledge is very critical when it comes to being able to spread spread your wings, so to speak. So we had our consultants getting trained through all of the trainings, and then we became a certified center. And yeah, like Thomas did a great job with the training. Thank you, Thomas. And yeah, so we've always noticed that if people know the software, if people know how to use the software, then they're a lot more likely to buy it. That's a lot more likely to be involved in the decision making. So.
Yeah, very interesting point. Sebastian, you're using training in marketing and sales. So how are you doing this?
From the start of sales, we have actually 3 pillars. The first is we sell custom solutions. like cash flow, like balance sheet, P&L, and that kind of stuff. Second of all, we offer standard solutions. For municipalities, for example, we have created standard solutions since every municipality is kind of the same. It's really to duplicate or replicate a solution. For example, for risk management, it's like always the same stuff, operational risk management. And the third pillar actually is services. So what we offer to customers is in a sales cycle, we tell them we can offer you a service level agreement. So for example, we react within 24 hours to if you have a critical question or something. We also offer in this same sales, we offer also trainings, right? So from the start of the sales cycle, we tell customers you need to have some training because Jedox is very easy to do, etc. Like the student, it's really easy to make BI solutions. But if you're really going to, let's say, a latest estimate cycle or rolling forecasting cycle, how do you do it? It's really delicate if you put like a solution there, and people from the customer are willing to change it. It's better to have some knowledge for that. So this is one, and because it's in the sales cycle, we already sell it during the first phase, and they sign for it actually. Second of all, it's also marketing, like was said before, right? If you let them train before and they get acquainted with the technology, they're more likely to buy it actually. Actually, we are now thinking of offering like 4 hours training for free, or do a proof of concept for free, something like that, as part of our marketing strategy.
Very interesting points. So let's talk about a bit about projects and implementation. So René, you did an implementation for, I have to check this, Quebec Government Shared Service Center with 250 users.
Yeah.
So tell us more about it.
In fact, when we've embedded Jedox in our software in the middle of 2014, the first customer that we went to revamp their BI portion of the software that they were already using from us, we presented them Jedox reporting embedded into the decimal suite, and they were right away jumping on it. All of their 20 business analysts have been trained accordingly to build reports and publishing those to the organization. And you need to understand that shared services for the Quebec government. Quebec is about 8 million people province from Eastern Canada. And that share services is providing all sorts of services to the whole government entities, from aircraft availability to space rentals to IT, of course, IT services. And right away, with the bolt-on solution that we came up with, they were able to produce very quickly a cube out of our relational data and have this multi-dimensional environment where they can start producing reports. After training, as I said, the 20 business analysts there, they ramp up very quickly because, you know, it was close to what they were using, especially with the Excel front end that it's looked like within Jedox. They ramp up very, very quickly, started to build some value for the organization, delivering multiple reports. And from that perspective also, we've been able to reach out to very quickly, within months, reach out to 250 users right away, specifically with that customer.
Oh, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Wasim, you did a tailored Jedox implementation at Vasco, so a boutique travel company helping people all over the world with their visa needs and visa applications. Yeah. So tell us more about this.
Well, Vasco is a member of Cano Group, which basically owns multiple companies, including VFS Global, VFS Teshil, and they specialize in providing visa services to the governments. So naturally, this means that they have a lot of data to analyze. When we first met them in 2015, they only had a custom-made ERP and built in-house, and they had no sort of BI, no sort of overview of what's going on. I mean, and I'm quoting them, they said they were flying blind. So their main requirement initially was just to create the reports. And interestingly enough, once you get in, that's when you start to look at opportunities and you start to look at what you can do. So While initially they wanted to just create these simple reports, since we're combining multiple systems, like they had an HR system, they had a sales system, they had their visa system, they started to come up with ideas of what they can do. One of which, and I find it very fascinating, the CEO asked me, Wasim, since we're connecting the HR and the sales, I want to see if I increase someone's salary, does his performance go up or down? So, and this is actually something you cannot do unless you have the data in the right place. So, they start to ask these different questions, and while they used to spend lots of time creating a report, I mean, everything was available within seconds, and their data is quite massive, and only Jedox could handle it. Like their cube is around 26 dimensions, which is one of the most massive cubes you can know of, and they're running it on an HP cloud. So this was one of our first cloud implementation, and they're just using 16 gigs of RAM. So it's really nothing. So Jedox did actually a very good job. And what was really interesting, during their decision-making process, I learned afterwards, because you don't know this while you're doing the sales, but you know this afterwards. I was talking to the CIO, and I was asking, why did you decide on Jedox? He told me, Wasim, funnily enough, I was offered free licenses from of OBIE from the headquarters. And I said no. I look at him, well, why would you say no to free? He said, well, they're going to give me an elephant. I still need to feed it.
Right, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So currently their software is being run by, 3 people. One is doing the SQL queries, the other one is doing the reports, the business aspect, and the third one is just a shared admin across the whole organization. So I would say they're quite happy. They've increased the licenses. They go back to us asking us for more work, more consulting, and right now we're talking to them about taking it to the next step and doing their budgeting and planning over it. So
wow,
yeah.
Really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this information. So René, you implemented your solution into 5 Canadian banks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about it?
The 5th largest Canadian bank, which is also at the same time the 3rd largest credit union in North America. And again, another example of a customer who has used Decimal Suite for quite a while. In fact, they've used it for many purposes, from IT costing to customer profitability, product profitability, or insurance product profitability as well. And throughout the years, they wanted to expand at using a reporting capability where the finance people will own the solution. And for many, many years, they were struggling at, unfortunately, having to deal with IT internally to get the right data at the right time to the right people. And so traditional challenges that those large organizations are facing very often. So we jumped in and, again, presented the new Jedox integration that we have made available back in the mid-2014. So with that customer, it was late 2014, early 2015, where they started to use the software, providing reports again to the organization. And right now in January, we're launching with them a new project, which is to do all the branch activity and costing, and in which Jedox will be fully involved as well. And that should address the 350 locations that they have. So again, an interesting implementation from that perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm coming back to you in a moment. Quick question for Wasim. You did a lot of POCs on Azure, because you mentioned Azure earlier.
Yeah.
So how does it work? So is it the perfect platform for you? Or?
Well, actually, I first heard of Azure when it was launched, because they made this whole, I would call it, really good marketing campaign. So I would say, played around a little bit with it with my team, and we just launched a couple of virtual machines just to learn how it works. Interestingly enough, later on, Jedox partnered up with Microsoft, and it actually became a strategic decision to actually go down the Azure path. But in every decision, while you're doing your business, there's always a flipping point when you decide, no, I actually need to go down this way. And that happened when we had a POC with one of our clients, and the night before we were supposed to go on, the server went down, and it would have taken us 2 days to do it, to recover it. And we were just looking around, and then I just called Andreas. I'm like, I don't know what to do. He was like, aren't you guys good at Azure? He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, if you have a backup, go ahead. 2 hours, that's all it took. And since then, I actually was like, okay, we're doing our POCs on Azure. The training, we delivered it on Azure. And what's really nice about doing a POC on Azure is that clients like the easy way out, or they like what they're used to do. So if you're delivering the POC on Azure and they're using it for, like, let's say 1 or 2 weeks, later on when you want to go to the implementation part, if you sign the project, they're actually very likely to stick with the decision because they already saw it and they saw that it works. And let's say that for whatever reason they say, no, we want to have our own server on premise. Copying it is just a matter of like 1 hour. So it really just makes sense to do that. And when I don't have to worry about outages, I don't have to, and it really supports the whole strategic way of thinking in Jedox that we should go alongside with Microsoft. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, it seems so.
If I can add on top
Sure,
of that,
please.
if you don't mind, for Decimal, it's been at least 15 years that we're offering our solution in the cloud, hosted somewhere. And you could think that organizations, mostly finance, which are more conservative type of people usually, and even ministry and government would be kind of reluctant of doing that and getting the data out of the organization. But you know, the finance, again, as soon as they see the clear value of readiness of the implementation, fast implementation, reliability, and also reactivity based on the fact that most of the time they have to deal with large IT organization where red tapes and delays are continuous, they start opening and thinking about this cloud type of solution, which again, for us today, it's 80% of our customer that we have on our private cloud.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Sebastian, you're leveraging the internal resources of your customers in the project. So how does it play out for the project?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. First of all, we only do performance management solutions. So business intelligence solutions, as they grow bigger or more mature, they find out that it's difficult to enter data. Well, you cannot, right? You cannot do scenario analysis, you cannot do workflow. So first of all, we're doing just performance management solutions, also in sales cycles, like broadening the agenda. So it delivers us more work than only BI solutions, of course. And the second thing is actually, we have this concept of co-creation. Actually, we've been in the business for a while, and we found out the hard way that project management and doing projects is just not as easy as it sometimes looks like. So we have our controls for making projects very successful. We have ticketing systems, we have really strict project management, we have a good functional requirement before we start, and that kind of stuff. It's really a bit more traditional, like because we really want the quality right and the standards right, etc. And recently, we had actually a publisher of like all those television magazines, but also, so that's really old school business, right? But we have also, like, they have also new businesses, like going digitally with all those television programs that you will see everywhere on in the internet on Holland, what's coming up. And those guys really needed a planning tool, actually driver-based planning. And what they suggested actually is that their own people wanted to cooperate in the project. So we were like, okay, this is kind of bit difficult, right? Because we are really up to speed always, and we go like this, because we are really, in this sense, fast. And they didn't have training, they didn't have anything. So, but in the end, we told them about the technology, and they understand what's going, and that helps in succeeding your projects, actually. It makes better cooperation, more trust, and more successful projects. And in the end, they really helped making some reports and stuff. And in the end, it's also their product, right? So it really helps in succeeding as one, and maintenance and building out a solution for themselves. They want to really be like independent from like consultants, etc. It's a really good case, and it's really good success. And recently they called me, and they're just talking how great it is, and this is great, and that's great. Well, it really gives a good feeling, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Works
So this is like our next step in making projects more successful. Next to project management, all those steps, just involving the customer wherever possible to do this stuff. Well, that's about our vision right now.
Oh, that's great. So Rene, you already have a very tight integration into Jedox. So what will you do in the future? So will you get even tighter to our solution, or what are your plans?
Well, on two folds. The first one that we're starting to get as of today is requirements to go outside of the decimal suite. You know, our customer has been using Jedox now for reporting and BI purposes for a little while, a couple of years now. And they start to realize the value that they could get out of it outside of decimal. So they're starting to ask us, okay, how can we use Jedox, but not only for decimal information and data, how can we bolt it to other either internal system or whatever that they have. So that's a clear opportunity for us to expand on the usage of the software and then become more of a VAR or service provider in the extension of using Jedox elsewhere within the organization. The second fold is to expand on the Jedox integration platform that we've been building for the last 2 years, and mostly from the planning perspective. As of today, our solution is pure read-only, so we only read from Cube through reporting capability. This year, we have signed a second fold to our agreement with Jedox that will enable us to start using the write-back capability and all the splashing functionality that you guys have been using probably for quite a while. But for us, it's a way to extend on the capability of what we are doing. Like for our budget homegrown application that we have, we were very strong at providing a bottom-up type of budget approach. Although with the expansion and the further integration that we will be building, we will start providing our customer with top-down and with extensive capability that will be also being fully aligned with what we are doing already for quite a while. Maybe on another fold also, we see a lot of traction right now with municipalities in terms of what we are doing. And as an example, we're doing costing for large municipalities like Montreal, Quebec City, and others. And something that you need to realize that for Montreal, about 15% of their budget has to go for snow removal.
Oh, really?
Okay? So snow removal is a daily event during winter in Canada, for sure. And we expanded very much at understanding where the dollars were going, where they invested or allocated to the right contract, because the equipment and the time that it takes to remove a snowstorm of about 4 or 5 feet of snow is quite an operation. And those costs needs to be fully optimized. So we've started an initiative 2 years ago to build a very sophisticated costing model for snow removal. And another opportunity that we have now is to cover the rest of Canada, where it's still an issue, and also probably go out of Canada in the Nordiques as an example and offer that solution. So for us to expand over Canada, probably through a partnership that we have already established with Grant Thornton down in the US, but also with other partners elsewhere in the world. So those are exactly the 3 folds in which we will be expanding in the upcoming years.
Sounds very exciting.
It is.
So Wasim, what's about Dustec? So I mean, you're a 4-time Jedox Award winner. You just became a certified training center. So what are your plans for the future, the next steps?
Well, I would say that the plan consists of 2 parts. The first part is related to being the training center. And regarding being a training center, we're actually very happy that we can support the academy team. And like I said in the beginning, the main point is we want to spread the knowledge. So we're planning on conducting more trainings, more remote trainings. We already are in touch with a couple of universities, because just like Bastian said earlier on, the students of today are the employees and the managers of tomorrow. So when you spread that kind of knowledge, people already know how to use it. They're a lot more likely to purchase it in the future. So this is currently the strategy for the training. Now, on the other side, the side of the licenses and the software and the consulting, with the current global situation, economy-wise, I would say that we're actually very well fit to sell more software. Like, for example, you know that our region is very dependent on the oil and gas. However, the gas prices are down, which is very well known, which means that these big companies might not have the budgets anymore to shell on Oracle or SAP. But they still need their budgets to be done. They still need to have their BI being done, and this is where we come in.
Sounds like a huge challenge, but
yeah, it's a very new challenge. But luckily, we have the full support of the Jedox team. They've always been more than happy to fly in, to give us advice, to help us close deals. So I'm quite confident going forward.
Sounds awesome. Thank you.
Building on the idea of academic relationship and building on the future, during the 90s when I was at Cognos, we had an academic program to provide power play back then to the higher end education for them to be able to use it for teaching, but also for the students to learn it so they could install it on their own machine during the duration of the course for the 3-4 months that they were registered on that course. And I invite Jedox to think about this right now, to see the know-how of the software very early in the heads of those decision makers that these people will become in the near future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would like to add that this is supposed to be very natural for us, because if you go to any university and you look at their MIS programs, they're already, like, Excel is actually being taught.
Yeah.
It's not even a prerequisite or something you do at your own time. No, they actually teach them how to do their analysis using Excel, and this is where we come in very naturally.
Yeah.
So
yeah, makes perfect sense.
And
exactly.
feeding it to the finance people, students as well, is, I think, a must for us. So that's a cheap opportunity that Jedox should, I believe, jump in.
Will do, yeah. Sebastian, before I ask you about the next steps in the future, I forgot to ask you earlier. So you're also, I don't know if you still do this, but you work with TM1, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we still do TM1 also, actually. We started the company just doing Jedox. We came from a real estate background, actually, making prognosis for, I think, 20, 30 years in the future, making discounted cash flows and stuff. And at a certain moment, we decided to start our own company, looking for a tool that was really easy to use and stuff, and we found Jedox. So we started the company off of Jedox. But when we were implementing the Jedox and we were searching for clients and we were finding opportunities, we also found out that a lot of clients did have IBM. And they're really IBM-minded, like clients are Microsoft-minded, like clients are IBM or SAP-minded. So, and then we tried actually to sell Jedox there, but they're really, like, in the IT departments, IT-minded, IBM-minded. It's like, doesn't make sense to keep pushing harder and harder. So actually we thought, let's embrace it, because like TM1 and Jedox, the core modeling and stuff is quite the same, right? So we embraced it, actually, and nowadays we have 10 clients that already bought TM1 from the beginning, so we didn't sell it to them, but they have it already, and they need some assistance on that part. Actually, there was one client we turned over from IBM to Jedox, because in the end, Jedox is, it's more like on the web, it's more innovative, etc. So you see the IBM TM1 is trying to make its way also. There's going to be a new Cognos 10, actually, that is more like analytics, etc. And they're trying to bridge this TM1 and this Cognos together. It's, as said yesterday, I think, it's 2 or 3 or 4 different technology. It's difficult to install, etc. So it's more work, etc. But in the end, IBM is still in the market, right? Yeah, whenever we have a chance, we try in a greenfield situation. We always sell Jedox. Yeah, in the meantime, we don't leave those clients alone and don't serve them if we find them. So that's actually our strategy, actually, in that.
Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I would like to add. Well, Cognos is a great software, obviously. A lot of organizations within our region have been using it for a while, and due to the because TM1 and Jedox, well, at least they have the same philosophy. It's actually been very easy to approach the clients from this perspective. So basically, for us, any TM1 client who's looking to switch is actually a potential client for us. So.
Yeah, we thought that too, actually. And well, it happened in one situation, but other situations they have invested a lot in the TM1 models, and they're working with it. And they have a project is not only making the software, right? It's also the change management process in the whole organization. So if you're just changing it, you have to also go over this change management process, which will be sometimes a lot of work. Even it's quite similar, but still. So that's why they probably and they have to switch to switch. Well, it will gain them some money, right? Because they don't have to pay the maintenance fees, etc. to IBM. But in the same time, it's a project, and they get in the end probably the same in first instance, the same as that what they had. So this is one of the things that they're thinking about, and sometimes they switch over, yes. Sometimes they stick with IBM anyway.
Well, I guess it depends on the organization. Oh, sorry.
Really.
I was going to add on top of that been working for Cognos for 20 years, 9 years as a solution architect, and 11 years in sales for them. And don't get it wrong, they have a good TM1 engine, multi-dimensional engine, but when it's time for in-depth reporting, it does involve IT skills.
Yeah.
And probably that's a neat way of approaching existing TM1 customer is look at what you can do from a reporting perspective, not only at developing reports that can be achieved by business users, but also at deploying those reports and making it available through the web, through Excel, through mobile. I think this is probably an opportunity. Eventually, if Jedox thinks about an API connection to the TM1 backend, that's even a better way of achieving it. But we used to have in my previous company I was working for, we had a rip and replace program to replace TM1 by another product. And only by taking over the maintenance fee that they were paying to IBM and replacing it with our software and our services, the customer could achieve that. So without any additional investment, they could apply that migration or moving over to something else.
Yeah, great point.
It's actually very interesting that you said that, because we do have a similar case. We sold Jedox to Mubadala Petroleum in Abu Dhabi. And, well, obviously, they really liked how flexible it is, but they used to use Oracle Hyperion. And like you said, just by taking the amount that they're paying for maintenance and support, over 3 years, they already paid for Jedox. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Plus,
let's launch an offensive program against these guys.
Yeah, why not?
And what was really interesting is that, I mean, the reason that they loved it so much, not only cost-wise, but they already reached the natural limit of what they can do on the reporting level. So like a certain report that they do, because they do a lot of, they buy and sell oil, basically. They do a lot of analysis, and there was these reports that they needed to create every so often, and modifying something or recreating a report would take something around 2 to 3 months. With Jedox, it would take around 4 days. So for them, it was just a no-brainer, right?
Absolutely.
So it's cheaper, easier, better. Why not?
Yeah.
Quickest value for the organization.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah, so before we open the discussion to the audience, one last question for you, Bastian. So, because I asked the other two guys already what their plans are in the future with Jedox, so what are yours?
Yeah, we are still going strong, right? And we're still going Jedox. And well, I'm very happy that I saw yesterday Jedox 7 making really big progress in terms of those solutions you can download from the marketplace. Well, it really is like our philosophy. We already created components and stuff for ourselves to be quick in POCs and quick in also transferring knowledge to new employees coming in, working the standard way, because it's all, if you install it, it's just the way we work. And I think it's really awesome that we can now have it out of the box from Jedox, actually. So I think that's the way forward, going for standard models, standard more, and yeah, standard aiming for the financials, and yeah, for the Excel spreadsheet hell, eliminating stuff and putting very yeah, very good solutions in place of it, which will add a lot of value. And we are also going on with our risk management solution, which we make standard, and well, actually, it should fit the whole world. So we're trying to propagate that and trying to sell that first, and then we're going to build a huge client reference, and then trying to sell it also in the whole world.
Oh, awesome! Thank you
good.
so much. So now it's your turn. So do you have? I'm pretty sure you have. So do you have a question for these three gentlemen to get more information about they partner with us, about the projects? Nobody.
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Hear you.
My three recommendation will be, first of all, I have a bolt-on API integration with the TM1 backend. So a little bit in the same way that Jedox is offering that today. So then you can solve very quickly the reporting requirements and the ease of use on top of the existing TM1 queue. And then again, I have a program where the customer is upfront with Jedox and saying, okay, this is the cost of having TM1 internally on a yearly basis, and let's take an approach where with software and services, we can do a rip and replace for the same investment that they're doing. And being very upfront about it without being shy of what Jedox can offer from both a software and a service capability throughout the partner network.
I think it also would be very good if one of the Jedox consultants would be proficient in TM1, because like I said earlier on, like these systems are like they're already very old systems, and they've reached their natural growth limit in a way or another within the organization. So we want to show the customer how easy it is to recreate whatever they did, and then it just becomes a no-brainer. I mean, when you're talking about, like in our case, it was Hyperion. It was like 4 months versus 3 months versus 4 days or 3 days. It's a no-brainer. So I think that in general we need more in-depth knowledge about our competitors, so that we actually know what to pitch.
From a consulting perspective, I believe that Jedox and TM1 are much more close in terms of modeling and product philosophy compared to if you had to do the same exercise, let's say, with Oracle Hyperion and Jedox, where you need very specific knowledge about Hyperion. So I think there is a quick opportunity to convert those customers without having really in-depth day-to-day experience on the TM1 product.
And I've also noticed that whenever we're training a consultant, if they come from a TM1 background, it's really very easy for them to grasp Jedox, because it has more or less the same philosophy. It comes like with the same concept of the cubes and how you analyze and slice and dice.
Hey, Marcus. Sorry to interrupt. So I know a little bit about the subject. One of the other things, if you're looking for TM1 replacements, is are they looking to go to the cloud? A lot of these customers are on-prem. TM1 has historically, since 1982, been an on-prem type of environment. When you think about what a server costs, $20,000 or whatever, and all the RAM that needs to be included, a 96 type of core RAM with TM1, you also need to have someone heat that, cool it, rack it, get a cost allocation. So that $20,000 server is now a $100,000 charge every year. So for those customers looking to go to the cloud, this is something you want to consider as well. My 2 cents.
Thank you, Ed.
Great point.
Yeah.
So other questions? As I know, we are standing between you and lunch, but it's a bit too early for lunch, so please come up with your questions.
Over there.
There's one question.
Bill.
What do you find is the most effective way of finding new clients, reaching out and finding prospective customers? How do you do that?
This is actually a question we're asking ourselves every single time. And if we are here, we mingle with partners and ask them, how are you doing this, right?
Yeah.
And I think there is no single truth for this answer. What we normally do, we do the roadshows. The roadshows, we are having, I think, 3 roadshows this year, and they're really, really effective. So we invite existing customers to come on stage, like we're on stage right now, tell their story about how they work with Jedox, how easy it is, and how happy they are with us and with Jedox. So it pays off for us only also because they come to us for consulting, right? And they buy Jedox. That is really effective. The other thing is mailing to clients, finding them on LinkedIn. It's a lot of work, actually. And I heard, actually, but we're just thinking of doing it, like seminars or webinars. Webinars also seem to work quite good. Well, that's from our part. Networking. It's just also networking. You have to know people. And what we always hope, and we find rarely actually, is that someone is so happy in one organization that he goes to another organization, to friends, etc., study mates, whatever, and tell them and spread the word. It rarely happens, unfortunately. So that's maybe something for us also, just to go to the clients, talk to them, do some account management, and ask them if they know someone who can benefit also from this technology outside the firm. And what we always hear also is like inside a firm, if you solve one problem, there's another problem you can solve, and you come like the internal sales. If a consultant's there, he stays there for, I don't know, a year or something like that. Well, that's the best and easiest way to sell. We have had that a few times, and this consultant is there for a year, and it's a great way to sell it, actually, internal.
Actually, just a follow-up. Each region is very, very different in the way it operates. So what might work for Holland wouldn't work for Dubai. For example, roadshows don't work for us, period. What works for us is networking and the events. So like specific events, like a cloud event or a BI event. And we already tried the webinars, really good, especially if you're talking about some interesting topic to the public audience. Even if you don't immediately get a client, you're getting the word out there, and you're definitely getting some sort of lead generation. Just like this last year, we had a webinar where we predicted the results of the Champions League 2016. Massive attendance.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you do a webinar, how do you find the participants, and how do you attract them to your webinar?
Well, 2 ways. The first way is obviously the easy way. Lena sends it out, but that's basically everyone on the Jedox community. But what we do, we have mailing lists. We have our own. We partnered with a marketing company. So we just send out the invitations, and then they just come in. And the nice thing about webinars is that people don't actually have to be physically there for you. So they can take out this half an hour or 1 hour out of their time, log in, listen. They like it, they can stay. They don't like it, no hard feelings. No one's going to see them walking out of the room, right?
Absolutely.
So find the topic that you want to talk about. Like last August, we also had a webinar about Salesforce and Jedox. And the more interesting the topic, when you're talking about like verticals, or you're talking about specific applications, the more likely you will get people who actually need that solution. So if you're just going to go out and do a Jedox sales pitch, I mean, that's what roadshows are for. But if you're doing a webinar, like do something in your own specialization, or something that's just interesting, that's going to attract people.
Yeah. Your point about being very specific, I think, is a very good one. And we do industry-specific webinars and seminars or events. And the way that we are reaching out is through the business people, not from an IT perspective, but purely from a business perspective. Only to give you an idea, about 4 years ago, we signed a long-term agreement with CPA Canada, the Chartered Professional Accountants. So through this relationship, we can reach out to 30,000 CPAs across Canada. So we have access to their email. We can provide them with events, invitation. We do a lot of lunch and learns. Okay. And we do a lot of customer testimonial presentation. So we go along with a customer that is ready to testify what they are and the business value that they're getting out of the solution that we are providing. So that's very strong in terms of message. Same thing that we're doing for the manufacturing industry. We're part of an association where we are getting exposure to the business community again. So trade shows and events like that where we can participate and have the ability to highlight the value that we can bring.
Great advice, gentlemen. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Otherwise, the last thing I have to do is I have to thank you so much for attending the panel. Thank you very much, Bastian Beltman, René Lebel, and Wassim Al-Swabi. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.